Hola, ¿qué tal? Yeah, why not? Why not a surprise live stream? Why not? The way things are going, planetary wise, why not a surprise live stream? Why don't we do this way? How I'll intro it. Going to go through the next 4 to 5 days of astrological transits. If anybody shows up, but this is really for people watching later on. Right now, I am going to make a social media post that has to do with me being live. So hold on for a second. If you're watching this after the recording, I'll make a timestamp and you can go right down below and just jump to the first day, which is going to be dealing with August 22nd. And that's what I'm going to do. So regardless if anybody's here watching or not live, I decided to do it this way. And let me work on this and bust a move on this and get this link. So, and let's see, you're going to hear my own voice here. You're going to hear the whole deal. And once I do this, I'm going to go right into the chart. So if anybody's watching, just to make sure the audio and the video is working in the chat. I know I have some people watching right now. Hi, Jay Peterson. How are you? It's good. It's good. Hold up. I decided to go live. As a matter of fact, I'm live right now. You could see that. You could see that. I'm live right now because this is how I do things. Here's the link. I decided to go live. So while I post this, we'll get to answering some stuff. I decided to go. And hi, Casey. You're working. I'm always working. Courtney. I'm gonna chase you down and tag you back. Hi, Ray Weather. Simulating an emoji. I'm simulating an emoji. Let's jump into this. I know I can wait for people to come, but I'm making this video for people afterwards. Again, if you're watching right now and you're jumping, just hit the timestamps on the bottom that I'm going to add later. I'm going to talk about some of the aspects of the week. Let's just jump right into the next 24 hours because, I'm not wearing my headphones. Jump next 24 hours because of how wild it is. I was going to do a regular video. And I just, honestly, I'm so work overwhelmed with my own practice in a good way. And I'm involved in something else project-wise that is hit a new level of work. So hence the live stream. So let's get to it. You know, I did this emoji, and I'm going to do the crying, laughing one, but I can't cry like I'm like emoji, but I can't put tears on immediately. I mean, I'm sure I can think of something that would make me start crying right now, but I can't do that emoji. So thanks for joining in, and let's jump to it. I'm going to do this a little bit differently, plus I'm testing something. I want to get to here, as I always do, and I'm looking here. Am I in the right spot? Because I have to go move this over there like that. So let's get to it. Hey, look at this chart's got no aspects on it. You believe that? That's actually August 22nd, 5:16 a.m., which is actually less than 24 hours from when I started this video, which is something around 6:45 p.m. Pacific on Monday, the 21st. I'll get to the annotation part of it, and I want to get to something that is huge and important, and it's happening as we speak. It's been happening the last couple days, and it's another chapter in our Venus retrograde story with a Jupiter or a Venus-Jupiter square that perfects itself at 5:16 a.m. Pacific. It happens now. Over the top. Again, over the top. Over the top. As we have Venus at 15 degrees here. Actually, let me just bring it to the real deal. To the deal here, because there's the real chart there, and I'll get to this. So here's Venus at 15 degrees. Man, the 15-degree point in fixed signs is just always as other astrologers talk about, and some I've talked to private lately know, and if you have this in your chart, which I do, and several people I know do, know that this is the most fixed, tightest, wound up energy that you could probably find in all the 360 degrees of the zodiac wheel is the 15-degree fixed part. It's like fixed at its sweet spot. You would think that 29 degrees would be, but from an interesting perspective of degree calculation, it's super tightly wound up. And from one of my old teachers, Laura Nabanian, she used to talk about 15 degrees as in like the balloon, the air in a balloon would expand into the point where before it pops, before that amount of pressure, that place before it pops open, that is 15 degrees. I also have my sun moon phase, just so you know, it's the equivalent of a 15-degree Scorpio realm of a disseminating moon phase. Anyway, 15 degrees fixed is always a deal. So here we go with the Venus here at 15 degrees retrograde here, and we have Jupiter at 15 degrees here, Taurus. And they are squaring each other. You can tell I have no aspects on this wheel to try it as an experiment to make it look easier. They are 90 degrees away from each other, and they're squaring each other. Now, this happened before. This is the second of three Venus-Jupiter trines that are happening in Leo to Taurus, Taurus to Leo. Okay, and we're hitting the second one here, and we're still in the middle of this retrograde. Even though Venus right now is starting to appear as morning star early, that doesn't mean it's all candy. I know plenty of you all out there with Leo stuff and stuff are going to probably feel a little bit of candy, I hope. I actually hope that you do. I actually hope that you have no worry in the world, that you have no bullshit in your world. Nothing. But I'm going to come back to reality and say, for the most part, it hasn't been as easy as other people thought it was going to be. Even the other people who were astrologers have been professing. I'm into the Kazemi moment. I'm into the Venus conjunction with the sun. I'm into it. There's moments of that. I'm into the new moon last week, but I'm into new moons. But if you saw my forecast, I'll put that up later here when I tag it. You'll know that I said to lay low last week. I said lay low because Uranus was squaring sun and moon. And it was coming out of a balsamic phase. It was coming out of the Kazemi. It's not candy. I don't think it's completely candy here. I think there's the attempt for Venus and Leo to show itself in its new form, and it can't help it. A fire can't help but do that shit. And it needs to happen sometimes because if you think about it from an artistic, creative palette point of view, you need to mess around and experiment and put stuff on the palette. But it doesn't mean it's completely formed. So here, there is Venus showing herself and magnified by Jupiter. Venetian qualities of pleasure and desire and indulgence in Leo, over the top, dramatic, times 20 with Jupiter squaring this. So, actually be a little too much celebrating. A little too much optimism. Am I being Saturnian in my talk right now? I am, because I'm telling you all to watch out. Now, some of you might not like to hear that. Don't rain on my parade because I'm feeling Venus and Leo. Got Venus or got Leo stuff in your chart. And I hope you do. I hope it's like that. Be careful of going too far, overinflated, right? Over the top. The second of three. Okay? Now, let's actually go to the first of the three. Let's go back. Oh, I don't have it up here, Nicolas. I'll bust a move, as always, and we're going to go back. So we're going to go back to an interesting place, which is actually June 11th, 2023, when we first had the first Venus square with Jupiter. Okay, so we will go here. I will show you at this point, Venus is like, hey, 5 degrees. Beautiful. Look at Jupiter, 5 degrees. All right, squaring each other, 90 degrees away from each other. For those learning, another way to understand a square is you're only going to square another sign if it's in the same modality. Okay, modality as in there's 3 modalities in astrology. There's what they call cardinal, fixed, immutable. Each one of those modalities has pretty much 3 signs in it. Okay, so did I get that right? I might have not got that last part right. So let's just take, for instance, the fixed modality. It's not 3 signs. It's going to be 4. I knew I was off there. It's 4, right? So we're going to go Taurus, first one in the zodiac wheel. Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. So if there's planets in fixed signs and they're closer to the degree as in this chart on June 11, 2023 at 5 degrees, they're 90 degrees away from each other. They're square aspect. It's a challenge. So I wanted to show you, for those of you who are in particular watching later, not on the live stream, that have planets in fixed degrees. Let's just say 5 degrees here. This was June 11th. This is it. I'm actually laughing at this chart right here because it's almost a mirror of my solar return chart. So I'm getting a little like, okay, this is my solar return year. I'm showing a part of myself, private part. This is my solar return chart. So anyway, you can see it's connected to me. So let's make a note too that Uranus is at 20 degrees, so on and so forth. That's June 11th. Okay. So here we are now. We're going to go back to tomorrow. What's happening now? Just to reiterate, to get it in your head, at 15 degrees here, 15 degrees. Okay. And here's the square, the second one happening. Now, you can also, for those doing the research and wanting to connect now, like why do I have this drama in my life the last 10 days? I'm just going to be real. Most of what I heard from my clients and from my own world, my personal world and other people, there's been drama. There just has been. I don't think this Venus transit has been easy, to be honest. Especially the last 10 days. So we also want to keep track of the degrees. So we pointed out 5 degrees in June. When they hit, we are hitting 15 degrees here. I started off the live stream about how interesting that degree is. Also because Jupiter is about to station retrograde pretty much at 15, 16 degrees Taurus. It's something you need to note in your brain if you're doing astrology for the future, even after Venus is going to leave Leo. Okay, so one could go back to the Saturn and Aquarius transits if they wanted to. So anyway, that's what's up with this transit. That's the way I'm starting this live stream off, 5:16 a.m. Careful. Careful. The indulgence. Some will take it over the top. The profession. I'm in love. Kudos to you if you are. Kudos to you. Do I make a completely different other live stream or another video on like people who get together during Venus retrogrades or decide, let's say, to get married or something like that? Now, on paper, there's different ways of looking at this because you would have to look at people's individual charts to really dial in if it's dialed in. Now, on paper, suppose you're going to hear a lot. That's maybe not the time to buy a bunch of new stuff for your wardrobe or get married or get engaged. Some are going to say that. It's the middle of summer in the Northern Hemisphere. You know how many weddings that are happening for the last 2.5 months since June, since Venus went into Leo? Till October when it leaves? That's a study. How, it's like, think, are they all failed to doom engagements and marriages and people meeting right now and hooking up or like, oh, I think you're the one, or I'm passionately in love in the Venus and Leo way? What is it really? So all I'm going to say is for those, if you have those particular situations going on in your life right now, make notes here. I'm not saying you're effed. I'm not saying it's a failure, but later when certain things come up, you can make the connections. Maybe it's not a complete failure of the relationship. Maybe some of the things that are happening here that are rooted in the beginnings of relationships, when later on, when they come to a head, when it's a challenge, you have the tools to go back to degrees like this to help yourself maneuver it with your partner or partners or whatever the relational situation is. So there's my little rant there. And, it's like, there's people, this is affecting them in a good way. Doesn't necessarily mean the square happening in the sky right now. They could be sextiling, trining certain parts of one's natal chart and so on and so forth. And I'm just saying this as like a disclaimer. So that was my Jupiter Venus disclaimer, okay? And now I'm going to tell you after the disclaimer, you need to be careful. I actually don't think, I think there's byproduct of a Venus-Jupiter square like this, you're going to see. The great thing is, you get another break and another chance here. You're going to get it here. And this chart is actually September 16th, 2023. All right. This one here. And we'll do it again. Look where Venus is. 15 degrees. At this moment, it's not retrograde anymore because it moved forward from the beginning of September. The 3rd, I think it is, on a Sunday. Venus stations forward. Okay? We're going to go to Jupiter. It's retrograde now at 15 degrees. You notice something? Uranus is there, retrograding. That happens next Monday. I'll throw that in on the end of the live stream. So, important dates to note. Important part of the story where we are here now with Venus, Jupiter. We make note. We know that there's more to the story. We know there's a bit of a crash and burn that's going to happen here with this transit for where we are right now. And we have chances to learn and to integrate what we've learned in these relational money resources situations in our charts if we're directly affected by this. Just know once September hits, all of the month of September, which is a super cool month in my mind for the amount of interesting action on paper, that we get to go back to this particular moment now from the Kazemi all the way from the new moon last week, all the way to the moment where we are now to this moment in mid-September and all the way to the end of September. But just want to point out how important it is for you to see this. All right. Wow, that's just one aspect, isn't it? That's one aspect. And that's tomorrow. I'm doing this August the 22nd. Hours after the 5:16 a.m. thing. And mind you, the transit doesn't end at 5:16. This is going to linger. You're going to see. It actually never really goes away in my mind. It just doesn't go away till the end of September, really, Venus, Jupiter. It just doesn't. So, but we're going to get something else here that we need to look at. And it is this. And you're going to see me put it up here. Sorry if I'm loud. Put it up here. And it's because here we are. We're the same day on 1:34 p.m. Pacific. This is less than 24 hours from now that I'm making this stream. Is that not only do we have a Venus-Jupiter square happening, and let's just for a reminder that the moon is in Scorpio during all this. And I'll point this out because if you're watching from the beginning, 15 degrees fixed, we see that the moon here at this point is at 10 degrees Scorpio, pretty much applying to this 15-degree range. But the reason why here is we're looking at Mars at 26 degrees Virgo, and we're looking at Neptune at 26 degrees. There is an opposition here, and this is happening at the same time as the Venus-Jupiter square. And you could see now, if you aren't feeling it right now in the last couple days, the drama and the inconsistency and the confusion that can arise with multiple aspects like this. An inflated Venus, over the top Venus by Jupiter, and all of a sudden a lost Mars and Virgo that's been rolling here. It's been vibing actually. It started off weird because it had a couple other aspects at the beginning of the transit. You can go look up on that video. I did a Mars and video one. I'll tag that for later up here. But it's like here, pretty much Mars in that video I mentioned goes through every planet. It's like Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Well, here's the Neptunian moment in all this. And this is interesting here because pretty much Mercury's involved in here. And even though it says 26 degrees, you see Mercury at 21 degrees right here. It's right there. Neptune is throwing its influence on Mars and Mercury. a Mars in Virgo, which gets the job done. It's about order and organization in the details. It's seeking purity through the details and efficiency to what it's good at, breaking down and putting back together systems so things run clearly, right? In an earthbound, organic, mutable way. Mercury loves being in Virgo. It's at home there besides being at home in the amazing number one, only best sign in the history of the universe, Gemini. And so here we have a Neptunian influence that all of a sudden the sharpness of mind and detail is lost. That Mercury's been going through there. It had its trine already a while back with Jupiter. Uranus, Jupiter. See, Jupiter's not. Hang on. It last week, it was trining with Jupiter. Good. This is good. But now, Mercury and Mars are muted, lost, drifting away into fantasy land, where they're actually probably not digging it after the work that's been done since the beginning of Mars and Virgo, since Mercury's entered Virgo. You have a Neptunian stop sign. If there is a stop sign, it's usually Saturn, but this is a different kind of a stop sign. It's like a dissolver. I'm gonna completely change the language and of wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and I'm gonna completely deceive you. And deception. And this is the type of stuff that happens here. Not only that, when you look at a Mars-Neptune opposition, or in any interesting Mars-Neptune opposition, you can have a different kind of obsession into fantasy and non-reality, what's real, what's not. You add Mercury in here, you could see how, along with the Venus-Jupiter thing happening right now, these 24 hours, last couple of days building into this week, that their conflict can come out of this because of confusion. Because something's no one's heard, or one's thinking they're clear, but they're not, or they're trying to communicate that. And so there's deception that happens. There's miscommunication that happens. And it's like a total prep story for what I will get into the day after here when I put up the chart, which you already know about. So here I'm always going to be real with you from my version. There's 1,000 other astrologers on YouTube, or it's more than that, on TikTok, Instagram. Some of them are my friends and colleagues. Some of them not. Some of them, who knows, whatever. We're all going to have our versions of this, whatever. You're going to hear my version. Right now, this week, you need to be careful again. Ever since the new moon last week with Uranus squaring it, you just need to pay attention to the details as best as possible, because here they're muted, and within 24 hours, Mercury's going to go station retrograde here in Virgo. So this day in particular, or right now while I'm making this on Monday the 21st into the 22nd, is sort of like a wild setup for confusion and possible overindulgence. Possible it is. One more thing I got to say about Mars-Neptune. I just have to say it this way. So you see me. Let's just do Mars and Neptune. Let's not even think about the signs they're in. Think about this. Mars is the driver, the will, the instinct. Okay? It's sometimes a warring planet. Sweat and blood. It's actually, that's the thing. I want that. Walk through the fire. Severing, cutting. The will. The initiation of the will. Sex. If Neptune is on the other side of Mars, and it brings an illusion, and at times and dissolves things, fantasy and fog, what's real, what's not, and it's throwing on all those keywords I just told you about Mars, you could see the type of stuff that happens. Weird obsession, crazy sexual fantasies, infatuations, infatuations from sex, or with, let's say somebody's a knife collector and they're just sharpening their knife. There's a bunch of weird stuff that happens out of this. So is for a learning moment, I'm always learning. Mars-Neptune connections are always fascinating to me. In this case, you got to be careful. That's my opinion. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not trying to be whatever. I'm not saying there's going to be knives involved, okay? Could be sex involved. It could be, oh, this is what I meant. If I'm telling you on the same day, and I mentioned in this live stream that Venus and Jupiter are squaring off and things are inflated, and Venus is coming out as morning star, wanting to show themselves in this new way, and if it's, is it love, or is it, and it's passionate behind the desires, to have desires fulfilled that are new, those new ideas that are coming through Venus and Leo, and Jupiter is just ramping it up by 20. Then you have this at the same time. It's a total Venus-Mars story, which is really the backbone of the last year and a half and the next year and a half, because the nodes are in Venus and Mars-ruled signs. So if you're going to pick up anything here and never watch this again, know that it's a Venus and Mars story pretty much now and all the way till next year, really. But here's a moment in that story where I just... Listen, if I tell you to be careful, you'll try to do it, but we just get caught up in things. So this isn't just being careful. It's like you can come back and go like, okay, how did that happen? How did it play out this time? How did these certain manifested storylines play out here with Venus and Mars opposite Neptune? You know, so you can learn. So you can pick up, not just to become an astrologer and do readings, because if you're watching this, you know a little bit, and that's how this is life. We take one of these tools we have, we pull our tarot cards, we do any other type of divination and magic, is so we are trying to connect and have profound and simple understanding in our life. So we learn, so the next time something comes around, we have the tools and the understanding, and then all of a sudden we're Uncle Nicholas telling the young nephew, like, hey, you better be careful. So, you know, that's the deal with this one. And this is just the 22nd, okay? So I also want to mention that the moon on the 22nd is going to square Venus. Like I mentioned here, the Scorpio moon is going to do it. And the moon at some point is actually going to then be opposite Jupiter, as you could see in this chart as it's building here, there, and there's the square to Venus. A little bit of help. A little bit of help to Virgo. I'm looking at chat, but I'm going ahead, okay? Just so you know, because I don't want to go this too long. So, yeah, let's go to the next day. Let's go to Wednesday, the 23rd. Happy birthday, Virgo. Because at 2:01 a.m. on the 23rd Wednesday, the Virgo birthday start, I got to tell you that I love my Virgos. They've been a very important part of my life since when I can remember, from friends to personal people in my life. I've learned so much from them. I fellow mutable sign. And we all have our shit, man. We all have our light and darkness and unevenness and unbalance. Could break down any sign that way. We know what Virgo can fall off here. And I'm going to mention some of these things of how it can be unbalanced here when I talk about the Mercury retrograde. But we got to honor them because of the amount of work and service that they do, because they will do that for themselves, for organizations, for relationships. This is just a Cancer moon. It's going to feed you soup. You know, it's going to be a Virgo moon. It's going to come up with the solutions in the time when you're sick and shit if they're your partner. They're also going to nitpick the hell out of you, and they're going to be highly critical. So you got to take both. So anyway, that's a joke, but I'm not joking. Here we are going to go to, we're going to go to a Mercury moment, which is right here at 12:59 Pacific here on Wednesday. Coming up, Mercury goes retrograde in Virgo. And it doesn't quite get into the complete conjunction with Mars, but it's there. Its influence, there it is. And there's Mercury there for the next 3 weeks that will be retrograde. And if there is a place where, besides I think Mercury and Gemini, even Mercury and Sag going retrograde, where one can really probably see retrograde type of situations, we are going to see it publicly. And again, let's be real about astrology. Regardless of one's chart, we have Mercury retrograde moments, but most people who are going to catch this stuff, it has to correspond with your chart. It has to. That's where we really see it. So it's generally, we can horoscopes, or we can get on Instagram. We do whatever. We could talk about stuff, and we do. But really, one has to take the next steps and know the chart, or go get a reading or whatever to see if it's really dialed in. So anyway, Mercury's going to do backwards motion here. I, in particular, think this is a wild one. There's such a great chance here of picking up the pieces that aren't working. I know it from client work. I'm going to be able to see it in the next month, especially when Mercury finally leaves Virgo, when we get to the end of out of September, and then go into crazy eclipse time in October with the Libra stuff. But we're going to have eventually its opposition to Neptune, the real one. But we're going to have another connection to Jupiter in Taurus in a good way. There's going to be another connection, even though it's really close here. It hasn't officially happened. It is part of the station here. If you look at 21 stationing Mercury in Virgo, it is close to a trine to Uranus here. It's right there. So, that just put it in your head. You're going to have that stuff down the line. You're going to have those tools down the line when Mercury comes out of its retrograde. It's going to have these cool aspects with Jupiter and Uranus. Even though Jupiter and Uranus at the time is going to be retrograde itself, I don't think it's all bad. So there's that, okay? And then, eventually, well, let's not get into that. Now let's just talk about it this way. Since I'm ranting today. Since I'm overloaded in my life. Since I'm having a Mercury perfection year, Virgo. I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough credit for. It all depends on where someone is in life. But we find a specific part of our life. So pick the category in your world right now. Just think of one right now that you think you can always do more on. You're not quite there yet. I'm like, I can always do more. It's not perfect, or I suck at it, or whatever. You just however your self-talk is. Okay, so just think about that. Okay, you just pick that place in your brain. Okay, and we're going to look at it from a Mercury and Virgo perspective. We're going to pick apart that category of our life because we need to figure out why it isn't fulfilling us, or it's not running on all cylinders the way we would like it to. So the beautiful thing about Mercury and Virgo is the power of this is able to pick things apart like this. It's like it can really dial in on the parts of the system and the engine that are not functioning and replace those parts or enhance those parts and put them back into the system so they work. So whatever you're thinking about that part of your life, let's just say, for instance, it's the Virgo part of your chart or any other mutable part of your chart, that this is up to play in general, even if it wasn't under the retrograde. But now that it's going to go backwards, it's actually maybe the type of thinking we do even before we pick apart the system, the way we've gone about it, that maybe is actually under review, really. And sometimes the systems that we've used that have worked in the past do not work anymore. And so retrograde cycles like this one, Mercury, gives us a chance to review and to relook and to eventually reclaim those parts and to bring in something new eventually. But I think it's key here, and I'm saying this to all you Virgo people out there, that give yourself a break if it's not flowing, okay, in the next 3 weeks. Don't beat yourself up. Don't pick yourself apart if it is not running like it usually is for you. It's actually a massive opportunity to chill out, actually. And I wouldn't say this in other Mercury retrograde sign or whatever, but I'm actually going to tell my Virgos to try to find a way to chill out in their life because of the sole fact of the anxiety and the stress that Virgos and Mercury and Virgos and Mars and Virgo here are at the end. I mean, the transit's almost done, but they can come up with. They'll come up with anything to keep their brain going if it's not right. They will not sleep. They'll forget to eat. They'll overthink. They'll completely overload themselves, which affects their nervous systems. I'm not a medical astrologer. You could find some out there. Kira Sutherland, one of my favorites. Shout out to you, Kira. I think she even had a post recently about, you can go look up her IG. You know what I'm talking about. You go see. So anyway, the overload. And a lot of times then it's an inward pyramid that happens where they'll break themselves down and go into an analyzation that never ends, and that could be just brutal, like brutal towards themselves or to the category or to the machine and system that they're trying to work on. And sometimes you need to walk away from the machine or system, and you need to chill out. And if you want to know the way to chill out is, you actually bring in the Piscean part of life, the opposite side of Virgo, and you just let it be, let go. Disney song, cue the Disney song, cue the Let It Go song. Cheesy as it is, amazing as it is, in this day and age that young kids in the last 10 years, whenever the song Let It Go came out, is actually it's like Buddhism. It's really coming through there. Some Vedic Indian mantra practice that all of a sudden made it through American Disney movie, Let It Go. So anyway, take the Piscean aspect here to help balance the Virgo. Take a break during the retrograde when you catch yourself overloaded. If you're overloaded right now, if you haven't eaten, eat. Take your time. Stretch time. Therapeutic ways to clear your mind. Same thing as Mercury and Gemini, I've said in the past, is the same thing with Mercury and Virgo. You need to be breathing and be conscious of your breath work to bring yourself back. Any other tools to bring you in to help you get out of the disseminating, the needing to be perfect, it's not right, the stress that comes with that, everything, bring in things to mute that, to soften it down, and to ground you. And if you do that, I think you can sail a little bit easier through the Mercury retrograde in Virgo, and that gifts come to you that way that eventually will contribute to the efficiency of the system and for what you really are seeking and want, just as Pisces wants. Purity and perfection and connection to the divine. 12:59 p.m. Pacific, Mercury goes retrograde for 3 weeks. It ends on the 16th of September at 8 degrees on another fascinating day in astrology, the 15th into the 16th, because, as I mentioned earlier, Venus on the 16th in September will square Jupiter again for the third time. That is wild to me, that within 24 hours you have major aspects that repeat themselves and are connected to each other within a 24-hour span, the 15th and 16th of September. So that is the Wednesday. We get to the 24th. Oh, no, Nicholas, that's not the 24th. You're not seeing this right now, but now you are. That's the 24th. So, yes, we get to the 24th. We're at first quarter moon with the Sag, mutable Sag fire, if I'm correct. I am correct. Moon goes into Sag at 1:07 a.m. Pacific. Moon's going to square the sun in Virgo, by the way, the newly entered Virgo birthdays. And it's going to square Saturn along the way to 5:23 p.m., where we have a fave of mine happen. And so here at 5:24 p.m., 23 p.m. on Thursday, we have, in such a short amount of time, from Mars being opposite Neptune, all of a sudden, a Mercury retrograde in Virgo starts, the Virgo birthday start, and then right to throw into the mix on Thursday, Mars makes an incredible trine to Pluto here to kind of like almost finish out the Mars and Virgo transit. After it went through all the outer body planets through the last couple months, it's going to do this now. And I'm loving this, especially after the Neptunian influence with Mars, to get Mars back on track, to bring it to a final place in its 2-month cycle, which gets to end like this. It gets to end with empowerment. It gets to end with the solidification of the refinement and the work that Mars and Virgo has done. It's not completely done until September because of the Mercury retrograde and once the Virgo birthdays end. But we have this really cool aspect that happens, and here is 28 degrees Pluto, and here in the chart, where are you, Mars? Let's do it the other way. Here it is there at 28, 28 there, and this is 120 degrees away from each other. It's called a trine. Why is it a trine? Because they're both in Earth signs, okay? If any aspect is in the same sign or same like element, then it's a trine. Okay, so Earth Virgo, Earth Capricorn, they vibe here. We dig this. Strong, passionate, solidifying, focus. You get to take a look at this if this affects you in the chart, and you got stuff at later degrees here. And even though Mercury's going retrograde, you'll have to tie up loose ends in the Virgo parts of the chart. But here you got something, though. You have really something solid to work with. Not all is lost for Virgo and Mercury retrograde, actually. Not all is lost. As a matter of fact, if you bring in those Piscean things, you can actually get some serious shit done during the retrograde. Why? Because of an imprint that happens here, because Mars has done a lot of the work in Virgo already for 2 months and just came out of a Neptunian sidetrack path and quickly jumps on a Pluto path where it's about empowerment and the tying in from the deepest places one can go to, from their places of subconscious to not, if this affects you in the chart, to Mars. This is a power efficiency mode. Everything is running efficiency. It's a solar panel that's running on all cylinders. I don't know why I came up with that example. But that's what that is. And we celebrate this one, okay? Because of the other stuff that's been going on the last 10 days, you get to celebrate this one. Hey, does the moon and Sag going to play with this a little bit? Yeah, it's going to. No big deal. Anytime you get Pluto involved, the depth. And then it's with Mars. It's not only getting stuff done. It is like the final forging of a Mars in Virgo tool. I won't say weapon. I'll say tool. Here is where the final finish happens. We dig this. We like it. Bring it on. Bring it on. Get through the Neptunian drama and fantasy, and then we get to some serious power reality play that comes up to the surface with Pluto. 5:23 p.m. on the 24th. 26th, the moon goes in Capricorn. I'm going to do my traditional thing where I bring up the moon Capricorn. Well, I'll show you. I'll bring it up here because I don't care. It's my channel. It's a live stream. Just because I didn't have time to do regular video. Because of mi vida loca ahora. And you're seeing why I'm doing this. Why am I going through the chart like this? And I'm looking for the sweet spot. If I could. Here it is. Okay, so there. And let's bring this up. Because every month I like to do this one on my streams. Is it's on August... No, what the hell did I just do? I just jumped. Oh, Nicholas. Let's stop here. I skipped a day. We're going to go to the 27th. Nicolas. And the reason is when we get past Thursday, we go to the 25th. There's a bunch of aspects. Moon goes into Capricorn on Saturday the 26th. And on Sunday the 27th, we are going to go towards... something right here where happens every year. Oh, no. Did I get this right? Yeah, it's right there. It's the 27th at 1:28 a.m. We get this every year, and it's when the sun is opposite Saturn here at 0 degrees Virgo, and Saturn retrograding at this current point here. We get a definitely check in here in the Virgo story and the Piscean story, but we get another Virgo chapter here. And you know, I'm a big Saturn fan in a sense, so I don't mind after all the Virgo talk that we just did that we have an aspect like this. It's just a check in, and it happens to be on Saturn's day on Sunday. So we had a Mars-Neptune opposition in these signs, right? Earlier. Here we have a Saturn-Sun, and it's just another take a breath moment. I think here we take the limitations that Saturn brings here to check oneself, to check the Virgo and Pisces of one's chart. You're definitely going to feel this if you have anything in mutable degrees at that early degree. So I just wanted to mention that. But really, here what we're really getting to is later in the day at 6:19. Let me get this correct. AM Pacific. As you can see what I'm leading up to as I do this, we get towards a Venus going into... No, Nicholas. Why am I... What? I'm putting Venus in a Libra. That's funny. You see where my subconscious is? Venus needs to be at home. But anyway, it's Mars. The opposite is what I'm thinking of here. That's not going to be at home. In Libra, it's not functioning, in detriment there. It's not at home in Libra. And now we have a story here that begins with Mars after, I think, a pretty good run in Virgo, that it goes through the Libra time. And that happens at 6:19 a.m. on the 27th. Do I dare go into what this means for the rest of the trip with Mars? No. But just know that Mars is in the cardinal sign now. And it's going to aspect any other planet that's in the cardinal sign. And if we look here, the Libra birthdays haven't started yet. But if I look at this chart right now and we're going to look for any other planet in situations in the cardinal sign, what do we see? Okay? What's coming down the pipeline? Well, the nodes are there. Chiron's there. Opposites, Mars and Libra, eventually, right? But we also see this. Mars just had a pleasant experience in Virgo with Pluto and Capricorn. But you can fill in the blanks now. Opposite the nodes, eclipses. Eventually squaring Pluto. That's coming down the pipeline. And that's no joke. So that is the 27th at 6:19. Moon's going to trine Jupiter on Sunday. Moon square Chiron, square Trine Mercury, Uranus, all that stuff. We get into the 28th so I could be done with this dang live stream. And I will bring up a couple things here. And it will be the next day for one of my favorite things to talk about every month. And it is when the moon and Pluto get together every month. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, know that I have a special community group on there where I post every month when the moon is conjunct Pluto. You can go find my Instagram, Sparkles of Gold. I usually say something. It's more on a mundane political level, my thoughts about what it's happening as a collective. Pluto's retrograde now in Capricorn. We started with the Pluto and Aquarius thing. That's when I started that project on little weird communication group on Instagram. Moon Pluto, I don't think it's not just a chance, but in this case, on a political level, mundane level, we're dealing with something since 2008 with the Pluto and Capricorn cycle. I think every time the moon hits, we get a flare-up. That's just what's up. You got everything in late cardinal degrees. You've been living this story for a long time with Pluto in your life. And if you haven't figured it out, you want to empower yourself with Pluto and use the challenging moments to forge yourself as a human being when it comes to your empowerment and the power and protection that you need for stuff and people or whatever's who are F with your life. You do not need to be there anymore. Or let's just say it's a banking system or a governmental system. It all has to do with control and power. And so a lot of times we have these situations that come up. If you're affected by this, or there's a world chart or a country or something or world events, there's a need for this lockdown to hold on to power that's been rooted for a long time, and it's getting disrupted or wants to. And here's where we see power struggle. And a lot of times pretty much I see with Moon Pluto aspects is that here it's the struggle is on, and it's very there and in an emotional based way because the moon's there. Now, when it comes to my personal views politically, I look at this as an empowering moment for eventually when Pluto goes in Aquarius, that you and I, if we're on the same crew and path with like our code and what we stand for when it comes to our freedom of self and our autonomy and how the powers that be or whatever else messes with that, we need to be ready because there's a situations coming very, very soon where we get to mobilize and we get to prep for that now. (4:48 a.m.) Moon officially conjuncts Pluto. Moon goes in Aquarius at 7:31 a.m. Pacific, and will trine Mars later in the day, and then at 7:38 Pacific time that night, the shocker happens, and that is Uranus stations to go retrograde Monday. Uranus, who's been a major player in the Venus and Leo story, who's been a major player in the Mars and Virgo story. What else do you want but a months-long retrograde thing here? And as anybody knows who has been in fixed sign cauldron for the last year and a half, 2 years, who's in it right now because of Venus, because of Uranus, because of Jupiter, you got more coming your way. Reduce, review, reclaim, all the RE words. That's the tools you use. I won't go into any further. If any of you want to get a reading from me when it deals with more, you're a fixed sign, you have stuff in fixed degrees, I'm out of anybody to talk with. There's other people out there too that I would trust out there, but I'm PRing myself. I'm calling to action myself because this actually is part of my personal chart story. I need to do that because I need to value myself. And I need to find other ways of saying it and doing it in my life. Uranus and Taurus. I need the bounty that I need to be to have success in my life that reflects my self-worth and value. Jupiter and Taurus. And I need to express that Venus in Leo, the ruler of the current Taurus situation right now. Now, if you are connecting on a personal level where these parts of your chart and your fix, hit me up for a reading. I got a Venus and Leo special right now. I'll come up with some other special. You don't have a bunch of money in your pocket right now, I come up with alternative payment plans. I'm doing a couple sessions this week that are like that. They're for people who are very honest with me on an email. I'm a single mother with so-and-so, so-and-so. You got it. Let's figure out a price break. I've actually been sitting here the last 10 days, really busy with readings, super busy with another project. I mean, totally overwhelmed with that one. Other things in my life. And the first thing that popped in my brain was economics and the recession, because we are in one right now, and what's possibly going to happen here further. Can't go eat at the nice food cart truck every day. They're charging $12 to $15 a plate for the food. You can't go out like before. They need to charge that because they need to pay workers and because everything's skyrocketed. It's inflated. Right? So it's like you got this going on. Most of us here, and I know most of my people watching me, they don't make a ton of money. And if they do make some money, they got a family to take care of and stuff. Why am I saying all this stuff? Because the last 10 days, I had some stuff. I've been in some interesting situations in my personal life and solo. And the first thing that came up to me is like, I need to lower my prices for my readings because people can't afford them. I'm still getting people paying the top rate, and then I'm still working it, whatever. But that's the first thing that comes up for me. So I'm like, okay, I need to do that. Then I need to stop and I need to gauge. I'm like, I put in a lot of time over the years. I need to take care of myself. So I need to get paid what I'm worth. And I think I'm totally worth it. Not for everybody, because I am definitely not astrologer for everybody. As a matter of fact, I think I'm on a lower percentage realm. I'm not more than for everybody. I'm actually for a certain subset, certain people who can get the clue, who connect with me, or who know me in my personal life, who know how I really roll. And for you strangers out there who booked readings with me in the last year, you took a chance and you've told me your input. For the most part, some of you have come back or you've replied. You're always going to lose a couple. You don't connect. Or go find somebody else to connect with. More power to them. I hope they do. But I'm not for everybody. The way I do my channel, the way I do my Instagram, or the things I'm going to do, I'm not going to do it like most people. I got to stick to my code, but I have to stick to what I'm worth. Now, saying that, at the same time, I am a giver. I'm one who has served in my life. I run into situations where I help people with out of nothing, out of the kindness of my heart. You know, I've done this, but I've gone too far with that. So I've had to learn in my life to like, okay, set the correct boundaries for myself, whatever, right? We all do this stuff. We all have this thing. And this is another story of worth, of expression of worth, Venus and Leo. Or the boundaries and the order that we need. Mars and Virgo, Mercury and Virgo story. So things run efficiently. So I have the energy to help counsel people and hold space, and the energy for myself and for the people that I care about. These are all things that we try to figure out and do. They just sometimes it's not a language we know or we learn, but we have to learn it. But when it comes to my financial thing as an astrologer or whatever, it doesn't mean that I now like you're going to pay this or whatever. I'm just trying to find the balance. So that's why I'm like telling you now, if somebody's going to watch this, yeah, I got my rates up there. I'm worth it. But if you can't do it, then you message me. Be straight up with me. Tell me your story. We'll do a payment plan. I've done this, 2 to 3 different payments. I'm trusting people. So far, I have had nobody diss me. I've had people pay full price knowing who I am because they know by paying full price that some of the money there allows me to take care of other clients who can't pay full price. They get it too. These are the people I want in my life. This is the client I want to walk towards me. This is the crew of people like you watching that I know watch my channel, understand. And that's something I never want to leave. That's something I never want to let go. But I might even drop my full rate prices because of the economy or what's going to happen in the next 6 months. I'm not trying to be ominous or dark, but it's a reality because I need to still keep eating. And there's people out there who deserve a mirror and insight, whether it's from me or another practitioner. So you have to be mutable, go with it and understand the sweet spot and the balance of that. So that is my rant. I'm a little bit on fire in my life lately and because of what I'm doing, but I never want to go against the code that I live by. You go on my Instagram, you can see my code. Truth, honor, loyalty, love. That's how I run. I've never been perfect at it, but I've always strived for it. I wrote that on my first blogger account, 2005. And I've never let that go. I've always strived for that code to live by, to my detriment at times. But in my world or whatever, anybody knows who they're going to roll with me. They know it's going to be intense. They know at the most part I'm always going to come back and say, hey, I'm sorry, or I could do better. But more than that BS, I know that gifts have been given to me, by the universe. And so I cannot bust on that code because it is more than me. It's more than me. It has to do with you or clients. It's spiritual. It's a ritual. It has to do with love. It has to do with just being on this planet of intensity, beauty, and chaos, and how we're trying to surf through it. So hence, we have transits that we always talk about. We have the transits that I just went through this week and all this type of stuff. That's the life we're living, So I want to do the best that I can for myself and for anybody who comes my way. They gave me a free chocolate bar at the store, and I ate half of it before this stream. So there you go. It's the chocolate live stream. Thank you for watching. I didn't even look at chat. I see Casey. Good to see you. Jay Peterson, thanks for dropping in. And Roof Frog, Ono Pessim, you got a moon in Virgo. Thanks for Sunbeam Network. Good to see you. I'm on a roll. As you could tell, I'm on a roll in my life. I'm at least with work, I'm feeling pretty good. And I'm trying to make some time to do real videos. My Patreon members, in the next 24 hours, I'm about to drop a 3 questions live interview that I did in Norwalk with a particular person I think you're going to enjoy. That's going to go to my Patreon members in the next 24 hours. The next week I'll publish here on YouTube and on my podcast. I'm going to try to do another video for the full moon that's happening next week. If I could do a video tomorrow, a tape one on what the Mercury retrograde means for each rising sign. I know a lot of people are doing that. I just don't know if I'm going to have any time. And I'm grateful for the reason why I'm busy. All right, so there's that. Let's get out of here by doing this. August 22nd, tomorrow, 5:16 a.m., Venus squares Jupiter. Mars opposing Neptune at 1:33. Next day, Mercury stations retrograde at 12:59. 24th, on Thursday, we get Mars trine Pluto and Capricorn at 5:23. August 27th, Sun opposite Saturn in Virgo once a year at 1:28 p.m. Pacific, and Mars comes in to a funky, weird place it doesn't flow in Libra, but we take the traditional view and we bring in the modern view, and we can make that work. That starts at 6:19 a.m. The 28th, Uranus and Taurus stations retrograde at 7:38 p.m. and a sneak peek to the 30th. Second full moon in a month, which they call a blue moon. A full moon in Pisces at 7 degrees, which I have an interesting story I will say on that video when it comes. I appreciate you all. 24 people watching. I saw average here for the time of just coming on. I appreciate you because you just jump. I'm sorry I didn't give heads up notice, because I actually was going to make a video and put it up, just a prominent one, but I just can't. And listen, you're watching this, you're on your desktop or your mobile, whether it's now or later. Underneath in chat, you see a smiley face for the emojis. You see a money symbol. You can always donate to this live stream if you want to. If you're watching later, there's a thing there you could do it. It always helps me. It helps pay for lunch, for the tools, and so on and so forth. I appreciate you all of you out there. I hope you're navigating these transits in the certain interesting place that we're in, wherever you are in the world. As I like to say, and I'll end the stream, if you're here with me and you dig this, please subscribe if you're new. I do other live streams. Check out the other videos. But I always have your back when I can. And I'm always cheering for you. And I'm always thinking the most optimal and the best. All right? So until next time. I know somebody else just jumped on the stream. I'm like ending the stream right now. I can see you're ending. Welcome and goodbye. Hi and goodbye to you all. And, you know, you can hit me up the other ways. And that's it. Man, all right. I think I did it. I think I pulled it off. I think I did some good explanations today, especially in Mars and Neptune and Venus, Jupiter. Whew. Venus, Jupiter. Venus. God, this, you know, I keep going here. We're never going to forget this Venus transit, are we? It's just not. That's how effing good it is. All right. All right, y'all. Until next time, I'll see you on the next video. Yo!